Welcome to Promote Profit Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today I'm going to talk about the importance of your email in promoting your books. I'm noticing a lot of people are not doing it when they're coming to us saying, "Hey, my book's not selling. What's going on?" So before we get started and jump into that, I do want to mention next month, or actually it's in next week, our August event, our August training is going to be Domingo Silvas. You may have heard him on a previous podcast talking about his new program that is Praxis AI Media. And he's actually going to be demoing it for us. And you can see all of the amazing things this has to offer. I got in on the founders level. I was really happy with the fact that the average person could just go over and there's voice print there. So you can ask questions about my book and my voice will actually answer for you. I also love that you can put your coaching links in there. You can put your book links in there. And if you have a book that has been translated into another language, they can do it in that language too. They've created an incredible voice system. They weren't happy with 11 Labs, so they created their own, and it really is amazing. So you can sign up for that. It's on 8/7 at breakthroughevents1.com, and that is the number one, breakthroughevents1.com. And that'll be on August 7th. And it really is something that you shouldn't miss. So let's talk about that email. So serious authors out there treat their email list like an asset. For nonfiction authors, it's actually part of what you would do when you sell your business is you also sell your list. And list building is probably the number one thing that I would say fiction and nonfiction authors, they can't skip, but they do. And then they don't understand why books don't sell. So a few reasons why you need to do this. So first of all, your email list vastly outperforms your social media when it comes to selling books, to clicks, and engagement. And with book launch experts, they're reporting that email can be dozens times more effective than social media posts. Now, why is that? Let's discuss a little bit about why you need that email list versus social media. So let's say you wanted to be someone who posts on LinkedIn or you post on Facebook. The first thing is your posts are probably getting lost in the feed because so many people post about things inside of those two platforms. The second thing is, and this is the big one people don't realize, is that you don't own your social media. You own your email list. So everyone that you get into your email list is actually somebody that you're communicating with on a one-to-one basis. When you're over on social media, one false move, and the person who does own the media, whether it's Microsoft on LinkedIn or Mark Zuckerberg over on Meta or Facebook, whatever they're calling it today, they can shut you down, and they do. Or they can change the algorithms so you're not visible. So it's very important to be able to get those people into your email list. An email list is also permission based. And what that means is you have an opt in with it. So you're not going to get a bunch of people who aren't interested in what you have to offer. On social media, you might get rude remarks, you might get different things going on, but the fact that those people opted in makes them a much warmer, more responsive audience. That means they're more likely to buy, review, and share with others if they really like your book. So all of this is very important. And for any of you who've ever published a book, you know how hard it is to get reviews. It can be really, really difficult or costly. So also, when you send a broadcast, you get a much higher percentage of your list that sees it compared to that organic reach that is out on social media. So you might get some likes, you might get some shares, but you're probably not going to get buys. That's something that doesn't happen much on social media. And the main reason is a lot of times that is cold organic traffic. So it is important inside your list because it's warmer to keep track of that open rate inside and what's going on, and to keep your list clean because you don't want a bunch of people sitting around taking up space. One of the most brilliant things I've ever seen when it comes to your list is someone I know who started around the same time I did, who goes through every couple months. She'll offer a free book, but then as her open rate goes down, she will go through and she will send those people who haven't opened in a while a notice that says, if you don't respond, we're going to delete you. You're welcome to come back in later. Now, that can seem really scary for authors because generally your lists aren't that big and it's harder to build a list. So, you don't want to let go of those people. Here's why it's important. One of the things she did over time was as she let go of those people that were unresponsive, she was gauging where people read on inside of her list. So as she let people go, she got a very clean list of readers. And as she went along with those blasts for new books, which she puts out several books a year, she got more book sales because that clean list and where she bought, she not only went from being an Amazon bestseller to now being a USA Today bestseller, and then was able to co-write a book and become a New York Times bestseller. So you have to outweigh, you have to let go of those people who got in and maybe don't open anymore. And it can be tough because it's so hard to build a list, but I get it. I do it myself once in a while. I'll go through and clean and, I'll lose 200 people and be like, "Oh," but the truth is you never had those 200 people to begin with if they weren't opening your emails. So this is something you have to remember about the value. So you're probably thinking, well, why does this pertain to me? I'm a fiction author or a nonfiction author. Tell me how this works for me. So, first of all, with fiction, you are 100% discovery driven. And email lets you connect with readers who took a chance to buy book one or took a chance to download your free book. And so as you're writing, you're able to nurture them as well. How do you nurture them? You nurture them with content. Do you have a weekly blog? What is that blog about? Do you have a podcast? Do you have video? Do you have maybe shorts about your characters? So the list makes it much, much easier for you to stack up pre-orders and actually fill ARC teams, your advanced reader copy teams, get early reviews, hitting rank thresholds faster because you're not starting from zero every single time. We just ran a campaign where we gave the fortune teller's daughter away for free. We built a pretty good list from that. Normally, it would take much, much longer to build. We put 250 new people in our list in 1 month using that strategy. Now, that can be a little bit scary. If this is your first book, you don't want to give away your first book. You want people to buy it. It just so happened that The Fortune Teller's Daughter, for me, was an older book that I rewrote because I'm a much better writer than I was back in 2010 when it was released. So completely changed, rewritten, better show versus tell. And so we went through and we renamed the book, retitled the book, and put it out. So I was willing to give it away. What if you're not willing to give it away? Then I don't truly believe that giving people a chapter of your book is ever a good strategy because most of the time people aren't going to read that one chapter and go buy the book. You probably aren't giving them something super compelling. But if you're a nonfiction author, then definitely write a shorter novella. Maybe it's a book, a prequel, a very short prequel to the book you've written, like what happened before. Maybe it's like a 1.5, a book between your first book and your second book. But either way, you need to start building all of this early. Maybe that novella, you build one, two, or three of those and give those away to build your list in anticipation of that first book release. I can think of some really cool things to do with a novella. Maybe it's a short story that involves your characters. Maybe it's a character building out of one particular character in the book. If I were going to write a novella from mine, I would probably write about, the early, how did Detective Lindsay Carter become a detective? What did she do? Solve some cases when she was a sheriff's deputy, homicide sheriff's deputy in Los Angeles. So there are all these little things you can do to give away and get people interested, warmed up for that first book. And if you've already released your first book or even your second book in a series, then this is a great way to warm people up for that third one, is give one of those away. Also, what does is it turns those flyby readers from promos like Book Hub, Facebook ads, and free days. You can invite them long term into your later series, your sets, or your special project. Now, I do want to offer one thing here. If you are going to put a series together, have a brand guide first. And the reason I say that is because you don't want all these different covers that don't look like they're tied together. And you want your website to be branded as well. So if you start out this whole series with a brand guide and then keep everything on your website flowing, same fonts, same colors, same design. If you look at my fiction books, you'll see it's usually a 2-word title. And I have one that's in red. The last word is in red in scroll. So you can clearly identify all of my books very quickly. So how do you invite people in to this list? You need an opt-in, you need a landing page, or you can do that if you drive traffic to your website. You can also drive traffic through something like book funnels. I find book funnels to be very helpful, and I did it, that 250, I did it in conjunction with Facebook ads. And I basically, when I said I did that 250 in a month, it was really more like 2 weeks. What did I spend? Well, I know how to use my Go High Level. So you should have a system. If you're a series author, you need a series system. We use Go High Level. It's $97 a month. I built out my website. I built out my landing pages. I built everything over there. When I use those ads and book funnels together, I spent about $400 to get those 250 leads. So you can't beat that. I mean, I literally had a video ad that I made that had like a 9 cent per click on it. So those are ways to really do that. The other thing is for your ARC, your advanced readers. Those are people that you can invite for your next book to be your advanced readers. And I know a lot of people really shied away from that as well because they say, well, I need those guys. I need those people to buy my books. You need them to be advanced readers, because what was going to drive traffic to those books is if you can get those reviews in and get them in early. So my thing that I've done, I'm building an advanced team for Bad Lie, which by the way is out today. I built one early. And the reason I did that is because Bad Lie is a mystery, but it's a golf mystery. And for me, my audience is probably half men, half women, but I mostly market, I would say, to the women. Golf, a little bit different thing. So I built an advanced reader team of men this time, men who play golf. And let me tell you, try to get men to read. Not all men do. So it was a little more difficult than I thought because it is a big book. It's almost 400 pages, but it's a really awesome book. And I built in elements to it. Men like golf, women like golf too, but probably more men. Tech, it's a tech thriller, and that police procedural a little bit as well. So I had a lot of elements in there, and it was a little bit different audience. So that advanced reader team was really important this time. The other thing is it's a great way to announce new books that are coming out, your list for nonfiction. It's also a great way, if you're participating in book swaps, to send out a blast to your list about, hey, I'm participating in this new book promo for the month of July. Check out all these other new books. So you're helping promote other people as well. And then, like I said, ask for early reviews on launch week, because those verified reviewers really push you up in the rankings very quickly. Now, I took all of my advanced readers, and probably in one of the criteria I told them is, I'm giving this to you in advance. My only criteria here is that you write me a review and you go buy my Kindle copy, because it needs to be a verified review. So you can see I had a plan in place for months before this happened. And I think that is one of the big takeaways from having a list and building this early, is that most of you finish your book and then you start and then you're really frustrated because nothing's happening. So I just told all you nonfiction authors why you do this. I mean, I'm fiction authors. Now let's talk about those nonfiction authors. For nonfiction authors, that nonfiction platform and audience also carry your business. Because if you're writing a book for credibility for your business to be a speaker, a coach, one of those things, you actually need to have that audience built in advance because not only are you releasing a book, but you have to have what's after it. Why do I say that? A book royalty is probably going to be between $1 and $3, even if you self-publish, because you have to pay the distributor, you have to pay, there's all these people you have to pay, the printer. So by doing that, that next step is probably a coaching program or a package of some sort. That's where your real money comes from. The book is your credibility builder. It gets you on stages where you sell those programs. It gets into your podcast where you sell those programs. You can kind of see it snowballs there. Also, publishers want authors who can reach readers directly. So if you're a nonfiction or even a fiction author and you have an agent, you're going to have to prove that you have numbers that can substantiate something like a book contract. We just recently worked with an author who worked for almost a year to build 32,000, no, it was 38,000 downloads of his podcast 6 months in. The agent is now pitching his book, but he needed to be able to show that he had built content, follower list, all of that. So a list also supports your broader business model. So your courses, consulting, speaking. And one of the things where you really build your list as a nonfiction author is through your content. You absolutely must have content, whether that is a blog, whether it's article writing, whether it's a podcast, a YouTube channel. You need to have a call to action on every single piece that you do. So I want to get into one other thing here. I just touched on it lightly. Well, before I go there, a leadership or wellness author with 5,000 or more engaged subscribers and a steady newsletter often looks appealing to an agent or people out there who are buying books than someone that just had a great idea but no audience. So keep that in mind as you're moving through this. So the next thing I want to post on or talk about here is why this is important for an agent. Because I know so many of you guys come to me and you say, I want an agent. How do I get an agent? And when I tell you the criteria, you kind of explode. You're kind of like, no, I can't do that. I can't list build. List building is difficult and it takes time. So it's not something you do after your book is done. For nonfiction, agents and publishers explicitly look at your author platform, which is basically how many people can you reach and move to action right now. I just mentioned that we have an author who has an agent who the agent actually sent him to me to build a platform because she thought he had a great book. We built over 6 months and he worked his rear end off. 38,000 downloads on his podcast. He was thinking about starting a Substack. It was a little too much. We're working right now on book funnels. We made some mini ebooks based on the book, and we're driving traffic to it via Facebook. So you have to be able to look at those. That's what agents are looking for. What sort of audience can you bring to the table? Because traditional publishers don't do a lot of promotion like they used to. Many agents say that for borderline projects, your platform is the tiebreaker that decides whether they take you on or they even say yes to your proposal. So that is very important too. Unfortunately, for fiction authors, a lot of times this doesn't happen. You have to go out and sell your own books and prove that you have the ability to sell those books. Recently, we had a fiction author looking for an agent, and she flat out told them, you sell 12,000 books in 3 months, I can get you a deal. That is a really heavy lift if you don't have a platform. So keep that in mind as well. Even in fiction, having demonstrated a readership, newsletter subscribers, solid engagement, and having some sales history signals to agents that you're a professional who understands the business side. That's what's important here. is because if you're a one-off author who says, "Oh, I've got this really fantastic book and I want to do all these things with it," if you don't demonstrate that you understand the business side, an agent's not going to be interested in taking you on. So it is important that you learn the business side of this industry. I would say 95% of the people I talk to just opened up and started writing a book. They have no idea about the business end or that it's just brutal. And I'm going to share something with you guys the other day that I heard on a podcast. I was listening to the Ruthless podcast, and Buck, oh gosh, what's his name? He's one of the guys that is on the former Rush Limbaugh podcast. I can't remember his name. It just flew right out of my head. He has a new book out. I've actually read it. It's a really good book. But he said on the show, and remember, he has this huge show that millions of people listen to today. He said it's really hard to sell books. Even he was surprised by how difficult it is to sell books. And he has millions of followers and a traditional publisher. So I'm going to remember his name. That really bothers me that I can't remember his name. But I was so gratified to hear someone with that many followers say, Buck Sexton, that's it, that many followers say, "Hey, this is really hard." So imagine if you have zero platform, how hard it's going to be for you to be able to do it. So simple list building that you can start this week. Let's talk about that. You need to choose an email service. There's lots of them out there. MailChimp. I happen to use Go High Level because it's an all-in-one place where I can not only send out my emails, collect my list, but it has landing pages. I can build my website there. I can build leads in there. I can send my social media out for there. So if you actually look at all of those, I usually have my emails and my social media all scheduled 3, 4, 5 weeks in advance. So it takes a lot of pressure off me. I can just keep adding as I go along. There are a lot of other systems out there. I recommend the all-in-one because you don't have 5 different logins and you're not paying for 5 different things. If you look at, in order to get a MailChimp with a landing page, you're going to pay $25, $30. And then social media, if you go to a social B, you're going to pay for another one. And those all start adding up. So I really love that I have it all in one place as well. Create a compelling lead magnet. If you are someone who's a nonfiction author, give people a checklist, give people something, an ebook, something that they're really going to love, a video that they have to opt in to get it. Nonfiction or fiction authors, a novella. I'm not really big on the give a chapter of the book. I think I mentioned that, but maybe you do a character dossier or bonus scenes or alternative point of POV to what's your story, what's tied to your series. Also, put up sign forms where the traffic already is. So your website homepage, if you go over to my website, both of them, JulietNolanClark.com and Superbrand Publishing, we both have opt-ins. If you go to Superbrand Publishing right now, you can download a free copy of the Perfect Reader Playbook, which, by the way, you should go do that. It's it's superbrandpublishing.com. Actually, I take that back. It's perfectreaderplaybook.com is where that's at right now. But you should do that because it'll tell you how to layer your marketing in a way that doesn't make you just come out and say, buy my book, buy my book. I can instantly tell you haven't built a platform when you're begging people to buy your book. So key landing pages on your blog, on your podcast, every single piece of content you put out there, give that free thing away. The back of your books. This is one thing. If you watched our panel in June, you saw Patrick Snow, who is an amazing book developer. When I gave him the Perfect Reader Playbook to endorse, he came back to me with great feedback. Why don't you put something in back, a course or something in there? I do that at the back of all my books now. If you look at the back of Dark Granny, I believe it has Farmhouse Forgotten. But every book has the next book in the back now so people know where to find me. Links on your social bios, podcast appearances. Don't just give your book link, like go buy my book and you're begging again. give that free link away as well so people can get on your list and get that free novella or download. And then email regularly. I can't even tell you how often I hear somebody say, "Oh, I have a newsletter. I email once a month." Once a month is not quite enough to keep you top of mind with readers. I would say nonfiction once a week and make it that piece of content, whether it's here's my blog with that call to action, that free thing, or I have a podcast, so it ends up being my podcast. I give away that free thing as a call to action on everything. If you have must go every other week, if you think you're bugging people, but you have to have it more than once a month. You have to keep yourself top of mind and people engaged on it. And then treat your launches as list events. A lot of times we send out one email, "Hey, my book is here," and people don't pay attention. Have some in that weekly or every other weekly list. Have some things where you talk about the book, why you wrote the book, what's in the book that will interest people. So I hope all of this helps you guys. I actually am starting from scratch with my fiction novels again, so I'm very invested in that list. I have a big list on the nonfiction side because I've had my business since 2010 and I've done list building since 2016. So every time I release a nonfiction book, I sell quite a few copies. The other thing that you can really use this list for is reviews, asking for reviews. It's easier to actually get people to read your book than it is to get them to go over and publish a review. And I will talk about that more at another time because I have been using several different things to get reviews. And so we'll cover that later. But I hope this helps because you guys, this is a must. And I talk to authors every single day. And I mean every single day who tell me, "I published a book. Why isn't it selling? Why can't people find it?" And a lot of times it's not your metadata. It's not that the book is bad. It's that you didn't build the audience around it and you're out on social media begging instead of offering value and offering connection to your potential readers. All right. I'll see you guys next week. By the way, when we talk about calls to action, go download on julietdillon-clark.com. Go download your free copy of The Fortune Teller's Daughter. If you're not into fiction, go over to theperfectreaderplaybook.com and download your free copy of The Perfect Reader Playbook. It's that simple, guys. That's all you need to do. All right. See you next week.